dramatic music to that. I really do. It's very dramatic. Like you said, the rescues are dramatic.
These are very dramatic
We
rescues,
are not
yeah.
terribly dramatic people. So, this is Griffin Stockford, who here in the newsroom at News Center Maine tells the stories about animal rescues. We're joined by our wonderkin producer, Sarah Green, who sets all this up for us, punches all the videos, and runs everything. We're just talking heads over here. Actually, I'm the talking head. He knows what he's talking about. My name is Mike Redding. I'm a journalist here at News Center Maine. This is the second show in a series of shows called Mainers to the Rescue, where Mainers come together and somehow miraculously, save animals that are either lost or trapped or in harm's way.
Wild or domestic?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
In our stories here, these are wild animals.
Yeah. These are wild.
And impressive at that. That's everything I know about moose, right? I'm from Ohio. I've said this before. Born and raised in Ohio.
We don't hold it against
in
you.
a steel mill town that is now basically a rust bucket. And I found my way to Maine happily. But everything I've been told about moose, and I've only seen one moose in the wild, driving up near Katahdin, is that don't go near them because they'll kill you. They'll charge at you and they will take you out, right? And they're huge, right? They're giant animals. So the idea of rescuing a moose is like, wait, go near a moose? And in this first story in particular, where the guy has to literally be in the well with the moose, is like...
Well, that's the second story, but yes. Yes.
Do I have it out of order?
But still. The...
Oh. See, he knows what he's talking about. All right, when we get to the second one, you're going to be like, get it. You're going to be like me, don't get in that well, don't get in that well, don't get in that well.
Yeah, no, you can't believe
First
it.
story.
This
one where it's tragic.
This one does not have a happy end.
Because the mother moose, right, clearly has the brainworm thing going on. And they explain in this story how they got it. But the little calf in the blanket, the man holding it and looking at the camera, is like, that's a moment that's like, wow. I don't know if this guy will ever forget this moment, like this moment where he has a chance to rescue this baby. So, what are your thoughts as we go into the story?
Yeah, this story doesn't necessarily have a happy ending, but the happiness in it is two guys combining efforts to do their absolute best to save a wild animal. And I think that's important to remember, that just because in the end the calf does die, there's still a lot of value in their efforts.
Isn't that the truth?
And we saw that response on social media after the fact of people thanking them and such. So,
Sarah, do you want to go ahead and roll this?
Pets like those, or a bigger wild creature, there is always a lot of determination to rescue animals here in Maine.
Recently, a rare encounter deep in the Maine woods sparked compassion and a call to action. News Center Maine's Griffin Stockford takes us to southern Aroostook County.
What really struck me was seeing it give birth in the middle of the road. That instantly told me that something is up.
Sean Purley is a logging supervisor with nearly 20 years in the field. He'd brought crews to Township TAR2 between Glenwood and Silver Ridge to open up some old logging roads when he came upon this scene. The mother was acting disoriented, head cocked off to the side, walking in circles. Typical signs of brainworm.
For the brainworm, the parasite itself, they're typically carried on snails, and snails end up on aquatic vegetation or leaves in the woods, and moose are herbivores. They eat that vegetation. Well, they end up eating the snail, and when they eat the snail, the larva hatches within their stomach, and the parasite eventually works its way into the nervous system.
She was sick yesterday. I hope that little guy makes it.
Even after 20 minutes, the sick cow wasn't acknowledging her calf, prompting Purley to find cell service and call the warden service.
Usually the mother tends right to it, tries to get it standing up, to feed it, to clean it off. It hadn't been cleaned off. Very clearly was not a normal situation.
When Tyler showed up, obviously, the mother had walked off. And I really didn't know where she was because I stayed right there with the calf. So he gathered up the calf, and had placed it in his pickup. I wrapped it in a nice warm wool blanket. He turned the heat on. And he says, my main priority right now is to get this to the vet. The first 24 hours of birth is pretty crucial.
Leach consulted with state biologists and veterinarians before making the decision to euthanize the mother, potentially saving her weeks of suffering.
This job this is a real roller coaster of emotions. And part of this is making decisions that are difficult, but for the best. I'm in this job to conserve wildlife, to protect what Maine has. I don't take pleasure in that, but it's no different than if, an animal gets struck by a motor vehicle. You don't want to let that animal lay there and suffer.
And while the calf lived a couple more days at the rehab facility before ultimately succumbing to pneumonia, both men are proud to have helped give the animal a fighting chance.
I appreciate the public support in this situation. I wish it could have been a better story, but it was not a wasted opportunity, and it wasn't for lack of trying.
If you see something that you think could help save a life, do the same. Make the call.
And that was our Griffin Stockford reporting.
Shout out to Sean Purley and Tyler Leach. Two gentlemen who you can tell they were affected by that in the way they talked about it. That they wanted it to have a happy ending. And they did everything they could to make it have a happy ending, but it didn't. And that's the real world, right? These don't all turn out the way we want them to, but those two guys did everything possible to make this come out well. And you said it so well before the story aired about the value in what they did should be celebrated regardless, right?
And in a very primal environment. Like, you have a moose giving birth. I mean, giving birth
Yeah, he
is
says,
the most primal
seeing
thing
it
you
give
can do.
birth in the road.
Yeah. And then after the fact, the game warden having to dispatch the mother, to put the mother down. And he talked a little bit about that. He talked a little bit about it in the story, but he talked even more extensively about it, of just like, that comes with the job. He wants to protect wildlife, and sometimes the best thing you can do to protect them is to save them from their suffering. Right. Because what would have happened, according to the game warden, is the mother moose likely would have just starved to death, and it could have lasted weeks, right. Because she had lost the ability to know what food even was.
Right, her instincts were gone, and yeah.
And brainworm, my goodness. And the game warden's description of brainworm was so quick and thorough, and his knowledge, both of these stories that you'll see, the game warden knowledge stands out. And these were both half-hour interviews that I, cut down in order to make it fit. But, both guys for 30 minutes straight, just a wealth of knowledge. It's really impressive.
I'm going to project into this story a little bit of my own optimism.
Yeah.
And maybe a little human, transfer to animals. But the mother gave birth to the calf on a roadway where humans, loggers, come and go. And so the question I naturally answer, and I'm sure the answer is no, but I want the answer to be yes, is in whatever was left of her sanity from the brainworm. She's got a baby she knows she's giving birth to. She knows that much. Did she pick the logging road as a chance to save her baby? Because she knew humans would come along. If she does it out in the woods, we never see this. The baby stays by her mama's side, the mama dies and starves, they both starve to death. So there's a part of me that wants to believe that this mama moose was like, yeah, I'm losing it. I've got brainworm. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just know that nothing is normal anymore. I'm delivering a baby. I'm going to do it here in hopes that this is the one place the baby can be saved. I mean, is that crazy talk?
No, I'm fascinated by that too, of when does an animal know from knowing it's in a pickle, whatever that pickle might be, to knowing, oh, this is how I could be saved, or, oh, this human's trying to save me right now.
Right. Right.
And you may never know.
When do they cross that line and go, I need help?
Yeah.
Right. And how much of that is, I don't know. I'm sure the answer, I'm sure any experts out there will tell me I'm being a little too altruistic or something, and a little bit too attaching too many human qualities to a wild animal that had it met me in the woods would have stomped me into the ground. But I want it to be yes. I want to think her last thing that she did was try to save that baby on that pathway, and I don't care what anybody tells me. I'm just going to choose to believe that.
And there were these efforts were, the game warden
Heroic.
had to drive multiple hours to
Yeah.
get to the moose. Then he had to drive at least an hour to get to the vet.
Yeah.
And
I shout out again to Tyler Leach, game warden, Sean Purley, a logger, right? Who you can feel the somberness in his voice when he talked, because this made him sad.
yeah, totally.
All right. We're going to move on to our second story, which does have a happier ending.
Yes, very happy ending.
And this one is the one that I'm like sitting. I've watched it a couple times. Watched it when it first aired on TV. Then I watched it again recently, and I was like, "Don't get in that well." Each time I was like, "What are you thinking?" It's like, yeah, it's tranquilized, but it's also like 8 million pounds, and the space is so small that if it just shakes its head once in its antlers, you're done.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, what is he thinking? And yet, by the way, he has a perfectly coiffed beard. I'm so jealous of this man. Steve Dunham.
Steve
give a
Dunham.
shout out to the beard.
Shout out to the beard.
So, how did you come across this story? What's the genesis of this?
This was one that had the Delaney Gardner, the woman who I speak with in
Right.
the story.
She's delightful, by the way.
Delightful, great content creator.
Yep.
She took small videos throughout the whole process and put together a compilation video kind of showing how it all went down, a minute long maybe, and then posted to social media, and it got some traction.
And we found it that way.
Yeah,
People
exactly.
start sharing it, talking about it. Sometimes you get an email from someone, did you see this? They link you to a Facebook
Totally,
post.
yeah.
And we look at it and go, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So this is one that kind of maybe made the rounds on social media ahead of my story, but then I was really proud with how the story came out of telling how it all went down.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Sarah, cue that up. Pay attention to the thought I said, which is this thing is trapped in a well, and someone's got to get in there. And it's like, I'm just like, wow. It's like when you watch these specials where they tranquilize a lion out in the middle of nowhere because they know they have to tag it and do something to try to save the species, this herd. And you're like, but what if the tranquilizer didn't like really set in? It's like, and you're with a lion whose paws are as big as your chest, and you're like trying to do something nice to it. And what if it just wakes up in that moment and looks at you and goes, you look delicious? And that's what you wonder. And he actually talks about how they tried to, put the kid's T-shirt. Kid took his shirt off.
Which is one of my favorite parts. Is like
so they could block its eyes, so they can lower the sensory and his heart rate, right? So because if his heart is pumping slower, he's not metabolizing the tranquilizer faster.
Yeah.
It allows the tranquilizer to set in and stay longer. So just watch this.
Here's a question tonight. Would you climb down into a hole with a 500-pound moose?
Yeah, probably not. But that is exactly what a Maine state biologist did last week when he and several others rescued a young bull from a well, one that even the landowners didn't even know was there.
So it happened in the Washington County town of Pembroke, where, as News Center Maine's Griffin Stockford found out, the group used good old-fashioned Maine ingenuity to save the wayward moose.
And then I got a call from one of the other assistant wildlife biologists in the region, and saying that there was a moose down in a well, and so I wasn't really sure what that meant. I couldn't really picture what that could be, but I was like, that sounds interesting.
a hand-dug, stone-lined well about 6 feet across and 8 feet deep, hidden by thick woods and brush.
My family recently bought 100 acres in Pembroke.
The property owners didn't even know the well was there, and clearly neither did this beast.
So the moose must have fallen in and basically was completely obscured by vegetation. So unless it was making noise, you wouldn't have known it was even there.
Delaney Gardner, whose family owns the 100-acre former farmstead, says her brother Cole, who operates a shed building business on the property, heard the commotion while working nearby.
Like even 5 feet away, when they were standing there trying to see this moose, they couldn't tell it was even in a hole just because it was so thick in there.
Dunham sedated the moose with a 6-foot syringe pole before climbing into the well to secure the animal's head as it slowly laid down.
It's not like the movies. When you drug an animal, it doesn't just fall down. It's, it's not like Jurassic Park or anything like that. Like, my biggest concern was just I didn't know. I knew all the moose was standing up on the bottom, but it was like, is there a solid bottom? If you climb into the water, you're like, am I going to just disappear with this moose? Like,
about a dozen locals had gathered at that point, and the rescue quickly became a community effort.
And it was amazing to see the biologists and the game wardens and the community members all work together to come up with a game plan to get this moose out. It's not exactly something that, there's a handbook on. So just seeing all the problem-solving skills in action was incredible.
A young man took his shirt off so that we could cover the eyes of the moose and use it as a blindfold, and that helps keep light down and stimulus down so that they don't metabolize the drug faster, that sort of thing.
After the moose was lifted out with an excavator, the biologist injected a reversal agent. Soon, the beast was alert and back on his feet.
It ran off with a good stride, holding its, bearing weight on all its limbs. So besides some bruises and maybe a little bit of a hangover, it should be make a full recovery. Everyone, listened, and really everyone was just there to try to help and so everyone was working together and willing to throw out ideas and help out and suggestions and the ladders and straps and all of that, and the piece of equipment, which again, when you're dealing with a 500-pound animal, like you need something more than just manpower. So that was essential to the whole thing, and it all went as well as it could have.
We've gotten a lot of, is the hole covered up? And yes, it is. But that's been the two sides that we've seen, like make sure that's covered up and thank you. So
the landowner said he's going to fill it in, which is a little bit of a shame, but at the same time, it definitely reeked like bull moose there. So I don't think I'd be drinking out of it anytime soon. So.
Wow. Okay, so Steve Dunham is a full-grown man, right? The fellow with the beard. When he got in that well, he looked tiny.
Yeah.
He looked like a little kid compared to that thing. And then when you see that thing stand up at the end and start walking away, you're like, okay. It's like, these things are giant.
And basically,
and like if it goes like this once, right? Like let's say that it has a reaction or something like that, just a nerve reaction in that moment while he's in the well with it. Those antlers, it goes through your neck. You're done. It's like hats off. Like the biggest high fives I can give to Steve Dunham and that team because they saved that animal.
And that
if you
team,
don't get in there, if you don't get in that well, you don't save that animal.
Yeah, and that team is an important element, what you just said, because the team was the biologist, Steve Dunham, a game warden was there, and then there were like a dozen community members who...
The kid who gave his T-shirt.
Got word, yeah,
right?
Which is my favorite part, is like, we need something to blindfold the moose. I got something for
Spot the Mainer, giving his shirt. Go ahead. Right?
Yeah. And also, like, what stands out is, like, this seems like something that would be fun to be a part of. Like, this is happening, and everyone's throwing out ideas, and everyone's trying to make it work. How do we do this? Like, everyone was chiming in, and it made for, like, a memorable rescue and an effective one, and one that made everyone just feel good about being a part of.
They're going to tell this story for the rest of their lives.
Totally.
They're going to tell it to their grandkids. They're going to, like... They'll be my age, sitting with big Santa Claus, mall Santa beards at the end of their life going, let me tell you about the time I was part of a moose rescue. Totally. And it's like, and what an amazing story to tell.
Remind me again how they found the moose.
So that's another interesting aspect is this well was basically surrounded, the whole circle of it was surrounded by thick brush.
Yeah.
So thick that no one even assumed there was anything else but thick brush there. And then, luckily, Delaney's brother, who owns a shed building business on the property, happened to be working out and heard a commotion, heard a crash. And then he went over and was like, oh, whoa.
Didn't know the well was there, and there's a moose in it.
Didn't know the well was there, and wow, there's a big old moose.
Wow.
I was like, oh, there's a well. Oh.
I'm glad the moose went in feet first.
Yeah, he must have. Yeah, because if he goes in head first, he drowns.
Yeah. But I think that's common for bull moose, is just to crash through stuff, just to plow right through. And then his feet must have just hit nothing.
Yeah, I just, first of all, Delaney categorizing it, right? The way she cataloged the videos and shot short clip videos and stuff and just captured the moment is so powerful and so wonderful, right? And to just listen to Steve Dunham talk about this, right? And you can see the joy on his face, right? That as opposed to the first story where they tried everything they could to save the animal, and you can feel the heaviness in the conversation, to this story where it works out, right? We've talked about this before in part 1 of Mainers to the Rescue, which if you haven't seen that, you need to go back and watch that one.
If you like dogs.
This one has puppies, so go for it. There's no politics when you're saving animals, right? Nobody in this group was asking, who you voting for? Who do you believe in? It's like they just saw an issue and had to solve the problem to save a life of a moose, right? Not a family pet, not the family dog, of a moose that they'll hopefully never see again. Maybe they will. Maybe that moose will come back for a month. Sorry.
And it reinstills your faith that people want to help. I watch these stories and I remember, oh yeah, people want to help other people or animals. They want to help.
Let's start a political party called the Animal Rescuers.
Yeah.
Be right in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle. Yeah.
Everybody join the party.
Yeah.
Because if we could solve the problems of this world the way these people get together and solve rescuing an animal,
Totally.
right? There's so many things we could fix.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, there's no politics in saving an animal. No one cares who you voted for or what your beliefs are. They want to rescue a life that deserves to be rescued and out in the wild, right? Deserves to live its life to the fullest. So.
Yeah. And one thing Delaney said, too, that was really powerful was like, we hunt these animals. We literally go out and try to kill these animals. Yeah. But there's...
Well, not all of them.
No, not all. Yeah. No, but these...
We thin the herd.
Yeah, but
like
this bull moose, it's one of those things where it's a fascinating dichotomy, if that's the right word, of you hunt these animals, but then you also save them when they need saving.
And it's the moose hunt season right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know 2 people that have been out in the woods just in the last couple weeks that are on their moose hunts. So, but it is an interesting thing where it's like, we're not hunting this one. This is the one we'll rescue.
Yeah.
And it deserves a second shot. And just super kudos to Steve, the guy with the amazingly well-groomed beard. I need pointers.
Great beard.
This is new for me.
You're working on it.
Yes, Steve knows what he's doing, so I might need some tips from him. I might go to his Facebook page and see if he's got tips going on. But massive congratulations to all of them, because when you're standing there looking at it, right before the was it a backhoe? What did they bring in? What did they
I think it was an excavator.
Excavator they brought in. You're thinking, how the heck? This thing could weigh over 1,000 pounds. It might be really heavy, right? He's full grown. How are we going to get this out of here? How is this really going to happen?
And then I thought it was interesting, too, that he injected a reversal agent.
Yeah, I was like, what's that?
Yeah. So I didn't know that existed.
You got some sort of like 007 stuff going on.
I thought you just had to wait until it wears off, just like we've got a sleeping moose until further notice. But yeah, he's able to inject it and then it comes back to life.
I think I need one of those every morning. I'm trying to get out of bed. Hit me with it.
I like when he described the moose as hungover.
Yeah. Yeah, he might have a little bit of a hangover.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Happy though? Oh yeah, I was younger. Well, listen, hats off. This is Griffin Stockford, who is our storyteller, and send him your animal rescue stories.
And I worked with Steve Sherburne, one of our photographers, on this one, and the previous moose story we featured of the moose calf, that was Jacob Richards.
Oh, yeah.
The editing is as important as as everything else. So.
Send your stories to Griffin.
Yes,
Griffin.stockford@newscentermaine.com. And if you got a good animal rescue story, some pictures, send them to him. We love these stories, especially when they're in the newscast, because the news can be dreary. We know that. We have to report on negative things that happen because we have to tell people what's going on in your communities, in your government, et cetera, and your school systems and whatnot. And it's not always cheery news, right? But it's honest news. these stories kind of make us all feel connected, right? Because again, there's no politics to this. It's just like, let's rescue an animal. Let's do it. And Mainers, I love this title, Mainers to the Rescue, because there's no one better at solving problems than Mainers. There's just no one better than that. So thanks to Griffin Stockford for bringing us the stories and these specials, and for Sarah Green, our wonderful producer who helps get us, puts these together for us, and runs all of our videos and does all the technical stuff. Look for Mainers to the Rescue Part 3 at some point. Will this be cats or birds or squirrels?
I know, we've got to move in another direction. Yeah, what do we do? Horses? I'm a big horse guy.
Oh,
that could be.
horse
Oh,
would
that's
be a
true.
good one.
Yeah, and my horses have run away from my parents' house in Bodenham several times. So, you
Gonna
never
do
know.
a story on your own horses.
For all the
Yeah.
people my age, do you hear the Michael Murphy song playing in your head right now? Wildfire?
On a pony she named Wildfire.
Ooh, you can sing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, Cody Johnson just came out with a cover of that, so I'm a big Kojo
right,
guy.
look at us.
And thank you to all the
as old as I
Mainers.
used to.
Thank you to all the Mainers who were involved in the rescue. The biggest thank you goes to you guys.
Well done.